Good morning. Welcome to the weekly news of Medication TV. Today, we bring you the most important news of the world that will impact all the young people of the world. Have a look at the concluding session of COP26 on climate change in Glasgow.
Friends, it is now decision time, and the choices that you are set to make are vitally important. They launch a decade of increasing ambition across mitigation, adaptation, finance, and loss and damage, marking the road to keeping 1.5 degrees within reach, achieving the global goal on adaptation, delivering on the $100 billion goal, and setting the new collective quantified goal on climate finance. These decisions conclude the outstanding elements of the Paris Rulebook, enabling full and effective implementation of the Paris Agreement. And they place an unprecedented focus on the issue of loss and damage. Collectively, I believe the decisions you are about to make demonstrate the continued relevance and leadership of this multilateral process. They promote inclusive climate action, recognizing the important role played by civil society, indigenous peoples, local communities, youth, and other stakeholders. They complement the impressive commitments and actions of all those who joined us in Glasgow, driving progress on coal, cars, cash, and trees. We met here under extraordinary circumstances, and the negotiations have been far from easy. I can tell you that definitely. But I have been struck by the determination that you have all shown to get our work done, to forge consensus on an unprecedented agenda, and ultimately agree something meaningful for our people and our planet. Each and every one of you and the nations you represent has stepped up here in Glasgow, agreeing to do what it takes to keep 1.5 alive. And for that, I am infinitely grateful. It is now my great honor to take us through the formal adoption proceedings. I now declare open the 12th meeting of COP26. The order in which the agenda items will be taken up is posted on the screen. So first, I now invite the COP to adopt the decision entitled Glasgow Climate Pact, contained in document FCCC/2021/L13. I see China is seeking an intervention. I invite China to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. According to what India, China, South Africa, and Bolivian delegates and like-minded countries and other developing countries expressed concerns, we have talked to the other stakeholders and parties concerned, carried out consultation with a view to ensuring the success of this meeting. We have found a constructive program. The elements have been submitted to the President. We thank all the parties for their flexibility. Thank you.
Thank you, China. I see India wishes to take the floor. India, you have the floor.
Mr. President, thank you very much to provide an opportunity to us. On the text of Para 20 of discussion of 1/COP26 and Para 36 of the draft decision of 1/CMA3, we, after discussion with the Presidency and various stakeholders and the other countries, the next text we propose and will be read as follows. If you permit me, I read that. Okay. Now, I propose call upon parties to accelerate the development, deployment, and dissemination of technologies and adoption of policies to transition towards low emission energy systems, including by rapidly scaling up deployment of clean power generation and energy efficiency measures, including accelerating effort to phase down unabated coal power and phase out inefficient fossil fuel subsidies, while providing targeted support to the poorest and the most vulnerable in line with national circumstances and recognizing the need for support towards a just transition. Thank you.
Thank you to China, India for their interventions. Dear delegates, you have a revised proposal for the paragraphs that were set out by Minister Yadav. Could I ask whether distinguished delegates, having heard the proposal, is this proposal agreeable to you? So, given what interventions we've had, I propose that the revised proposal is adopted as orally amended. A revised version, a written version, will be issued shortly. Hearing no objections, it is so decided.
COP26 reaches consensus on key action to address climate change. Adaptation, mitigation, and finance are all strengthened in a complex and delicate balance supported by all parties. After 6 years of strenuous negotiation, pending items that prevented the full implementation of the Paris Agreement on carbon markets and transparency have finally been approved. Deliberations of the COP26 came to an end this Saturday in Glasgow, one day after the scheduled conclusion. The wide-ranging set of decisions, resolutions, and statements that constitute the outcome of COP26 is the fruit of intense negotiation over the past 2 weeks, strenuous formal and informal work over many months, and a constant engagement both in person and virtually for nearly 2 years. The package adopted today is a global compromise that reflects a delicate balance between the interests and aspirations of nearly 200 parties to the core instrument on the international regime that governs global efforts against climate change. The parties emphasized on certain key topics like adaptation, which was the object of particular emphasis during the deliberations. Parties established a work program to define the global goal on adaptation, which was to identify collective needs and solutions to the climate crisis already affecting many countries. Another area was finance, which was extensively discussed throughout the session, and there was consensus in the need to continue increasing support to developing countries. The call to at least double finance for adaptation was welcomed by the parties. The duty to fulfill the pledge of providing $100 billion annually for developed to developing countries was also reaffirmed, and a process to define a new global goal on finance was launched. The parties also came up with another important topic, that is on mitigation. The persistent gap in emissions has been clearly identified, and parties collectively agreed to work to reduce the gap and to ensure that the world continues to advance during the present decade so that the rise in the average temperatures is limited to 1.5 degrees. Parties are encouraged to strengthen the emission reduction to align their national climate action pledges with the Paris Agreement. In addition, a key outcome is the conclusion of the so-called Paris Rulebook. An agreement was reached on the fundamental norms related to Article 6 on carbon markets, which will make the Paris Agreement fully operational. This will give certainty and predictability to both market and non-market approaches in support of mitigation as well as adaptation. And the negotiations on the enhanced transparency framework were also concluded, providing for agreed tables and formats to account and report for targets and emissions. Now listen to the two responses. One from Patricia Espinosa, Executive Secretary of UN Climate Change, said, I thank the Presidency and all the ministers for their tireless efforts throughout the conference, and I congratulate all parties on finalizing the rulebook. This is an excellent achievement. It means that the Paris Agreement can now function fully for the benefit of all now and in the future. Alok Sharma, UK President of COP26, said, we can now say with credibility that we have kept 1.5 degrees alive, but its pulse is weak, and it will only survive if we keep our promises and translate commitments into rapid action. I am grateful to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, for working with us to deliver a successful COP26. The heads of state and government and the delegates who participated in COP26 brought to the conference a keen awareness of the severity of the climate crisis that the world faces and of the need to live up to the historic responsibility of setting the world on the path to address this existential challenge. They leave Glasgow with clarity on the work that needs to be done, more robust and effective instruments to achieve it, and a heightened commitment to promote climate change, and to do so more quickly in every area. We, the MEF, invite all the young people to the substantial climate mission. See you next week with some more exciting news.